Hey guys, I'm just here super late for my March wrap up. So March was middle grade March and I read 25 books. So most of them I no longer have here, but I do have a stack of a few that I have. Other ones were library books or I've lent to friends or I put in little free libraries because like I said, I'm doing this super late. But I'll make sure I pop it somewhere so you can see what the book looks like. So the first book that I read, I actually listened to. It was called Beneath the Scarlet Frost by Marissa Miller, and the author actually reached out to me and offered to send me a copy to read and review it. I did end up giving it 3.5 stars. It was like reminiscent of the Tsars of Russia, so that's what it reminded me of. There was like our main character, and she had sisters in her family, and there were these other people that came and killed them and so on and so forth, and it did have like a cliffhanger ending, so I did actually enjoy the ending. I probably would read more of them. It was kind of like betrayal and heartbreak, but I did find the story dragged out a little bit. It should have been maybe a little bit shorter, but it was a 3.5, so that's still good in my books. Then I read The Kismet Volume 1 by Ingrid Ocha. I gave it 4 stars. That one, our main character, I think they're like middle grade or early high school, and she's never been kissed and she just wants to be kissed. So she has a bet with her best friend about kissing somebody. And that one, it was super cute. I really liked the artwork. I did read book 2 later on this year. And it did end in kind of like a cliffhanger or like a blunt ending. So that was, but then I got book 2 and got to read it. And then I read Alone in Space by Tillie Walden. I gave it 3 stars. It's another graphic novel. I had just kind of heard that it was really good, but I only gave it 3 stars. I wasn't really a fan. I didn't really enjoy the artwork. It was 3 different stories and then a bunch of comics of her life kind of like put into one bind up. And the stories were a little bit like too confusing for me, so I didn't really enjoy it. And like I said, her artwork isn't really for me. Then I read They Bloom at Night, and I actually got sent that one from Bloomsbury Creator Circle, which thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I gave it 4 stars. I love the cover, so I was really drawn to it. The author's name, sorry, I forgot that, is Tran, I think. But it was a queer read, so I was like, I need this book. So it did have queer characters. The cover's gorgeous, so again, I don't know where I'm putting it, but it's there. And it was a quick read. It held my interest. It was kind of like post-apocalyptic-ish, but then like alien fungus, the bloom taking over. So it was really interesting. I passed that to a friend to read. And then I read How to Survive a Bear Attack by Claire Cameron. And that one I gave 5 stars. I actually really liked it. We were reading it on a trip to the mountains. So I was like, this is the perfect, or I guess it was an audiobook. We listened to it. And it's really cool because it's told from like 3 different perspectives. So it's from Claire's perspective, trying to like find this information. It's from the bear's perspective, kind of. And then it's from, because what happens, there's a bear attack and 2 people end up getting killed by the bear. So it's kind of by like what they would be doing, kind of. So it's just really interesting. I've never read a book like that. So I really enjoyed it. I would recommend it. Then we read Magical Meet Cute. That was by Jean Meltzer, and I gave it 4 stars. That was for one of my book clubs. I think it was a virtual book club. And that one is just like a super cute kind of like love story where a girl hasn't fallen in love and then like makes a guy out of clay, or like kind of, that's what you think is happening. And it does have an amnesia trope, which was all right. But I did enjoy that it was like she's a Jewish author and she did write Jewish characters. But it was kind of eye-opening about like anti-Semitism, is that how you say that? What the character even had to deal with. So I'm sure that that's happening in real life because it's obviously based off something. So that was really eye-opening because I didn't realize that in this day and age that is a thing, and it is. Then I listened to a book called That Friend by Sarah Breyer. I gave it 3 stars. I got that audiobook from Simon & Schuster. And I was going to DNF it. I didn't really like the narrator's voice. Like, she's very like Valley Girl voice. Like, oh my God, like, and young. So that was kind of like a turn off it was like piercing my eardrums, but I pushed on. it kind of like picked up at the 50% mark, and then I was liking it more and more. I did like that it was a full cast of characters, but it was just like, the story was kind of like too young for me. She was like wanted to be like a social influencer, and then her other friend was more popular than her, and like they fight about stuff, and it was just a little bit young for me. And then I can actually show you a book, The Legendary Mo Seto by A.Y. Chan. I gave this one 4 stars, and she actually reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to review her book. And then the publisher sent it to me, and she actually sent me book 2. I just haven't got a chance to read it yet because it's out now as well. And I just like love Mo so much. She's such a good character. Like, she's for like this tiny little girl, and she like beats up guys, and you know, just wants to like, I don't know, she's like small but mighty. I shouldn't say she beats up guys, but she can take on people bigger in, I'm trying to remember now. I'm like, oh no, Taekwondo. There we go. So in Taekwondo, she was taking on bigger people than her. And she got really good at it, and she's just small but mighty. I can't wait for my daughter to just read this and enjoy it and learn that it's okay that if you're small, my daughter's not small, she's really tall, but if you're small, you can still do things. And I'm excited to read book 2. Sorry, I have all my notes written down below. And then I read Maya, or Maya, I don't know how you pronounce it. I would say Maya, Plays the Part by Calissa Erb. So this one was another middle grade, because it was middle grade March. It was really cute. I liked, like, I don't know, it kind of was like, had cool things in the book. It was just like split up differently, and there's like different ways that stuff is written if they're like texting and stuff. But it does have an autistic character, so I did like that representation. And I believe the author is autistic, but don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure she was. But I won that from Anik Press, so thank you for sending it my way. And I did enjoy learning about Maya and watching her kind of like learn and grow, and how to deal with like her differences, and like manage her quirks. And then she was so set on something, and then when it didn't work out, she got to kind of broaden her horizon, so that was really fun to see. And then I read The River Has Roots by Amal El Motar. I gave that one 4 stars. I loved the cover, and then I was like, I have to read this, and it ended up being like a short story. I liked it was actually a really short story, because half of the story was actually like artwork, so I did enjoy that the artwork was in there. It was a bit confusing for me, like the first 50% of it was confusing. I still don't understand the magic system, but then like 50% on, it got like, it was a wild ride. So yeah, that one kind of, I'd recommend it to like certain people. Then I read Girl Falling, or I listened to it, I should say, by Haley Schervener. I gave that one 4 stars. I got the audiobook from Macmillan and NetGalley. And I don't like think I've read a rock climbing book before, but it's like a rock climbing book, and it was set in Australia. And I liked it. I actually really liked it. There was like a murder mystery aspect to it. And then we're trying to learn who, like, I don't know, killed this girl, I guess you could say, because our main character is like in trouble for doing it, but it wasn't her. Or was it? Dun, dun, dun. So it was really good. You guys should read it. And then I read Food for Thought, Essays and Ruminations by Alton Brown. I gave that one a 4 star. I listened to it. It was an audiobook from Simon & Schuster. I really love the memoir. I watched like Alton on all the cooking shows on TV. So it was really interesting to kind of like see his perspective, because usually he's like a judge or a host, right? I don't normally see him like cooking. So to actually learn about his life and like where he started and then where he ended up, it was very, very interesting. There's actually a part where I was crying in it. So if you guys have read it, the octopus scene, if you guys are interested, read it, because it's good. And then I read Mortified by Christy Jackson, and I have a copy of it. I just cannot find it. So I think my daughter put it somewhere, or I put it somewhere and now I can't find it, but that's fine. I'll put a picture up for you. But with those ones, I loved how each chapter beginning, it had like comics at the beginning, and then it would like segue into the actual story. So that was kind of neat. Sorry, excuse me. I love that Belinda was an Indigenous character. I haven't seen that in many middle grade books. I haven't read that many, but in the ones I have read, usually it's not an Indigenous character, so I appreciated that. And I liked that we saw like the difference between good friends and bad friends, and then kind of how to like overcome that. So it was interesting. And then I read Taxi Ghost by Sophie Escabaz. I gave it 4 stars. It was another graphic novel. It had really cute artwork. I loved that there was like the helping ghost versus like unfinished business, or with unfinished business. So it was kind of like Casper a little bit, but different, obviously. But it's kind of like you're thrust into that world, whether you want to help them or not. You didn't have a choice. So I thought it was really fun. And then I read Katie, the Cat Sitter, of volume 1 and volume 3. Hopefully you can see both of them. I didn't realize that they were like in a series, so I'm missing volume 2, but I have both of these ones. They're really cute. They're almost like a standalone series graphic novel. I enjoyed the artwork. I like cats, so it's very cute. It's kind of like watching your friendships grow and blossom. They're like bright and colorful. And yeah, can't wait for my daughter to get into those ones. And then I read, sorry, I keep yawning. I accidentally summoned a demon boyfriend by Jessica Cage. I gave that one 3.5 stars. I got it from Simon & Schuster, or no, sorry, Simon Maverick. And I was like, I've never read anything like this, and it had like a cute cartoon cover. So I was like, oh, maybe it's like a cartoon. No, it was like, she's a little spicy. But Jessica Cage is actually like super hilarious. So I listened to another book by her because I had so much fun with this one. But initially I didn't like the audio, but then I kept listening, and the more I listened to it, the more I enjoyed it. And yeah, she's super funny. So it's exactly what it sounds like. She falls or accidentally summons a demon and he becomes her boyfriend. So it was cute. And then I had a DNF. So it was called Doctored: Fraud, Arrogance, and Tragedy in the Quest to Cure Alzheimer's by Charles Pillar. That one was an audiobook from Simon & Schuster. And most of the ones I had been listening to were a lot of like nonfiction. So this one I was interested in because I work in healthcare. So I was like, oh yeah, Alzheimer's, like that's cool. And when it started, it was like about this man and then his son looking after him with Alzheimer's. And I was very invested in their story. And then their story stopped. And then it gets into like conspiracies about like big pharma. And I was like, this is not what I want to read. So I ended up DNFing it. I just couldn't push through it. And it was a lot of like, maybe like too in depth. So I'm sure if somebody like very professional and very smart was reading it, it would be better for them, but I was not enjoying it. It was like too much. Yeah, and then I read The Immortal Woman by Sue Chang. That one was from a Tandem read along. I think it was, I didn't write it down, but I think it's a Nancy Press, I think, but don't quote me on that one. I'm pretty sure it is, but it was 3.5 stars. I enjoyed the dual POVs in it, and there's multiple timelines, learning about Chinese culture because our main character and most of the characters were Chinese. I did feel bad for her. Her name is Lynn. So it was almost like no matter how hard she was trying in the story with anything in her life, it was never good enough for her mom. It was never good enough for the men in her life, and it was just very sad for her. And it was a decent book. And then I read one of my most favorite books that I've read this year was Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. So I read Phantasma. I can't remember if it was earlier in the year or last year, and I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4.5 stars. I listened to the audiobook. So it was from Book Couture Audio and NetGalley. And I really liked that we followed the other sister. So in the first one, we followed one sister. We're following the second sister in this one. And I love that Deadly Games Trapped in a House. It's the same, but it's different because it was different houses, different games, different sisters, different boyfriends. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And the narrator's voice was perfection in this one. If there's another one, I hope there's another one and that there's a million of them. I will continue to read them. And then I read the Bletchley Riddle by Ruta Sepetys. So I grabbed this one because I really enjoyed some of her other works. And then I was like, oh, she wrote a middle grade. So it's with her and Steve Shinkin. Unfortunately, like I was super excited to get this. I got it from Penguin, Penguin Viking, and as an ARC. It was just way too long. I couldn't get invested in the characters. It took me about like 200 pages. So this book is 380 pages and it took me 200 pages to get into it. So it was just, I don't know, not really for me. It's kind of like about two siblings and they have their own goals and they don't really care who they're hurting in the process, but then they come together in the end. And I would say it's kind of like about it, or not kind of, but it's about coding. So like if your kid is a coder, they might like this. It just wasn't really for me. So I was kind of disappointed in that because I was so excited about it. And then I read An Ordinary Violence by Adriana Chartrand, I think. That one was for one of our book clubs, and I gave it 2 stars, but I really like the cover. So if you're looking at the cover, don't be tricked by the cover. I really thought that it was going to be one that I liked. It has Indigenous characters, Indigenous author, it's CanLit, it was horror, it was kind of like ticking all of my boxes, but I couldn't connect with our main character, and I was bored throughout, and it was just very confusing. And it had it was like magical realism kind of, and that's not my jam at all, but the author does have beautiful writing. So if she ever wrote another book, I would give it a try. It's just that one was not for me. And then my last in-person book that I read was Morgana and Oz Volume 2. I love this series. It is so cute. I love the artwork. My daughter's reading it, so I better not knock out her bookmark, but it's about this girl and her cat, but the cat is actually a boy. So it's super fun. And this cover, I love this cover so much. It's so beautiful. And Webtoon sent me that one. Wattpad, Webtoon, they sent it to me to review. I like the artwork. One of my complaints in book 1 was the artwork, and this artwork was better than book 1, so it fixed all of those issues that I had, which is nice. And it's just the story keeps evolving, and we get closure, but we also get cliffhangers. So it's you want to continue on the series, and I recommend that one. And my daughter's already been reading it, so it's great. And then I read The Deep by River Solomon. I gave it 3 stars. One of my girls in book club gave it to me. I love the cover. The cover is gorgeous. I read it for the Trans Right Readathon, but I wasn't really connecting with it. I was kind of bored for the first 70 pages because I was it's about mermaids, kind of. And then I just was oh, kind of bored. That it picked up a little bit. It did get better. It did have beautiful writing, but I was super confused, so that's not it for me. And then the last book that I read for March was called Us by Sarah Solar. I gave it 4 stars. It is a graphic novel / comic, I guess, because it's a volume 1 of a story. I read that for the Trans Right Readathon. It was super fun. It has great artwork. When I put the picture up, you'll be able to see it has actually the trans flag colors is the artwork. So it's really cool. And it was dual POVs. So it was fun. And it's about a relationship. It's called Us. It's got some love in it. So that's it for March. Come back for April. I'm going to be wearing the same outfit because I'm going to do it right now. Thank you guys for watching. See you in a bit.